The Cannons went down to Tampa amidst a hurricane. Hope you guys down there are doing all right. But they smoked some Buccaneer butt, and I think that they're feeling pretty good about it. Pat stood out. Kelce stood out. L'Jarius Sneed is on fire. And
man.
By the way, Shaquille Barrett's a damn liar. Welcome back, everyone. It's victory here. We are a little late. Thanks for locking it down. We're glad you joined us. This is Dan Harms. I'm Ryan Tracy. This is RGR Football, where we're going to give you the breakdown tonight. That is our notes, our big takeaways. We'll try to answer a couple of Super Chats at the end. If you do want to help the channel out, Super Chat's a great way to do it. Buying gear in the gear store is another way. But Q&A is tomorrow night. So we're going to try to hit most of the questions.
Yeah.
But bear with us as we try to get through here. Big takeaway for me, Dan. Top of the list.
Let's go.
Andy put a foot in somebody's ass this week, and it worked. Because these guys came out pissed.
Multiple people had things protruding from their rear ends all week. And it was not just the offensive line. This was a running back issue. They were running hard. Like Pacheco, I saw Lewis really talk about it. Every time he runs the ball, it looks like it might be his last. That's no joke. He is a ferocious runner, and I wrote it down. He is earning a role. I tweeted it out today, too. That man is earning a role. Right now, it's Clyde, and it's Pacheco, and then it's like, all right, McKinnon, third downs, okay, you can go out there, but really they want to see those two guys out there, and they really should just be those guys.
Well, yeah, and it's nice to have three backs that you feel you could trust because McKinnon had some nice runs last week.
Yeah.
But in the end of the day, and I tweeted out at halftime, you had two backs with 6.8 yards a carry. And yes, all backs are dependent on the offensive line. But these guys look pissed tonight. They ran harder tonight.
Oof.
Andy called their numbers more. And for all of you that were grinning back to yourself as you heard me cackling in the back that, hey, they're running the ball finally. This is what it looks like. Yeah. So take a deep breath, close your eyes. And if you saw how happy you were when they ran the ball, imagine what the players felt like, because the players get that feeling times 10. When you can dominate a guy physically and run him over, it changes everything. And I think this offense showed it.
They put 41 points on the board, and Mahomes didn't even eclipse 250 yards throwing. Think about what that does to an
right?
offense. He didn't have to work. I mean, there was a couple times that he had, some offensive line pressures and stuff like that. They didn't have to work too hard in this game. Excuse me. But the offensive line made it really easy for the running backs. And then they took it a step further and they were finishing runs. They were taking five. I heard a couple of people talk about this. I think I heard it on Saturday when people were talking about college football. If it's blocked up for 5, they were getting 7, 8 yards. That's what was happening. They were taking these runs that were blocked up for like 5, 6 yards, and they were carrying guys for more. That's what you need to have when it comes down to your running backs. And Clyde, credit to him. I'm sure he was pissed off from last week too, only getting 0 yards on the ground. He couldn't have been happy about that. Everyone collectively came together and they were like, okay, we actually have to complete this offense. We can't just say, hey, Patrick, we're not going to run the ball. You have to do everything. You can't do that in this league, especially when defenses are saying, we're just going to sit in defense and you can't throw the ball on us deep. You have to run the ball. And the Chiefs said 37 times tonight for 189 yards, guys. That's impressive.
I can't tell you how happy I am with that. And I don't even expect that to be something that continues. No. That's a high play call. I mean, 37 was it? 4 of those were Pat scrambles, just to make that clear. And one was the sneak. So still 32 where Pat dropped back 34. This was a 40% run call. This is more than I dream of most times. Awesome. And this is why it leads to the whole offense working. The play action was better. You had more spacing. They got away from it at a time. We'll talk about that later or tomorrow, but my camera's going to act up. So Dan, let's hit the first super chat. Would you take this while I change it out?
Of course. No problem. Appreciate you, Andrew McCall. This is exactly what I envisioned for the offense to start the year. What's your observation with the tweaks to the run game? They had great balance today. So we saw them get Clyde the ball a little bit on some pitches here and there. Get him going, let him move a little bit. They saw some more pullers as well, things that we've been asking for. You're getting more actual power runs. Early in the game, they were just taking, tight ends, tackles, guards, even Creed for a little bit, they were just pulling them and getting them out in front. When you can create some lanes for Clyde, he can actually get downhill, and you can see him doing more of what he does best. I think that's what they did in this game that was so impressive, is that they actually played to their offensive, running back strengths, and that was something we haven't seen a ton of. So they really did a good job of finally adding more of those power run games and those run schemes to this offense, because in my opinion, it's been what's missing. It's that key that unlocks everything. Because when you can unlock Clyde, then guess what? You actually have to respect a run game from this Chiefs team. That's what makes them complete.
Yeah, it makes everything work better. And I like the tandem, because if they're both able to run, everybody's going to have their own good nights and bad nights. But they both ran hard. Clyde actually got more carries, so that's why his yards was 92 to 63. That's okay. At one point, Pacheco went up to like 8.2 yards a carry in the third quarter. It was great. When you're grinding like that, it just demoralizes the other one. It shuts people up, like Shaq Barrett, who I think got a little carried away with himself.
Loved it.
I could not. I thought about Shaq all game long. Shaq, I miss you so, because I want to plaster your face all over the locker room, you fool. I am just, this kind of stuff drives me nuts. Like, never give your opponent a reason to get better. And that's what he did. So I'm glad that they rose to the occasion is my big takeaway. I want to go, like, starting from the beginning. They started out hot. They fed Trav early. That's kind of what it was between that and the run. Do you think that that's something that can sustain, or what do we see defenses go change to next week and the week after?
I think you might see them sit on these just maybe kind of bracket Kelce a little bit, because if that's another thing too, like they were like, hey, guess what? We're just going to pepper him early, and then you're going to have to force correct. And guess what that does? That causes other guys to get open. And you saw him hit Juju, hit MVS. They hit a bunch of different guys, and from there on out, you're just like, we're screwed. And that's exactly what happened. So you might see them start to maybe bracket Kelce early, maybe get more physical with him with the line of scrimmage. And that's where I think the run game will come into play, because you don't have to pepper him early. I think they were trying to make a point to say, we're going to get Kelce involved early, make you force adjust, and then we're just going to do whatever we want to, which is exactly what they did.
Yeah, absolutely. Oscar said, coming to you from Barcelona on vacation.
Awesome.
Well, buenas noches. Hope you're doing well. It's got to be really late, or actually really early there.
Really early there.
Yeah. But I wanted to ask what you give OBJ's performance tonight. It looks like the number he wanted coming down. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely coming down. He did all right, but all night, it wasn't the interior three giving up pressure. It was OBJ even more than Wiley, in my estimation. Now I have to watch the film and see the stats, but that's what it looked like to me live, Dan. Did you see something different?
No, they're really exploiting his arc. He can't, as soon as they get, basically it's like a wide receiver and a DB. As soon as he gets stacked by a defensive end, it's over, and he loses it immediately. It's a huge problem, something they have to fix, whether it's chips or they have to do something. It's a big problem, and it's going to be a problem as long as they don't help him out at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Dirty hits it here, and that's one of my notes, so I want to bring this up, and thank you for the support, Dirty. Great beating Brady, but up by, 17 at that point? Under 5 minutes to go, Mahomes throws the pick. Here's the problem with the pick. He didn't have to throw it at all.
No.
They were running well, and they had an under route where Sky had the first down just by catching the ball. He didn't have to turn it into yak. He didn't have to do nothing. But this is what I was saying. My notes in the third quarter go like this on the offensive side. Got Sky targeted, got him rolling. Mahomes misses Hardman. That was the first time. That wasn't on the other one. Misses Hardman completely in the end zone. He did the thing with Gray. They need to get back to their quick options. He's looking deep again, trying to put the nail in the coffin rather than just continue what's working. I think they got away from themselves a little bit, and this is a point that Dirty's making here. Do you agree?
Yeah, you could tell by the way that they got field goals. Like, they were moving the ball consistently, and it was chunk, and it was chunk, and it was run. And then they were in the second half, they came out, and they were really trying to put the hammer down. But if you keep doing what you're doing, that hammer is going to get put down. The hammer is just going to be a little bit slower. The force is still going to be there. It's just going to be a little bit slower. It's like death by 1,000 paper cuts almost, because they just continue to pummel the Buccaneers. And then they finally said, okay, we're done. We're just going to start running the ball. And then they called a couple penalties that, that hold on Jody was a bit generous. Excuse me, generous.
Oh, and I tell you,
we'll just say that because Clyde again found the hole, backside hole or front side hole all the way around, and then they call it back. So it is what it is.
That was, there were a couple of iffy calls. The thing on Juan Thornhill was not a foul, folks. He did it by the book. Hit him in the chest, didn't do anything else, didn't leave with the crown of the helmet. It was perfect. And they threw a flag because it's Mike Evans and Tom Brady. That's the only reason. It's BS, but there's no way around it. It is at the end of the day. I thought a solid performance from the linebacker level. And Josh was asking about this. Better than we thought? Maybe a little bit. I thought in particular, my big note on Bolton was that one where he literally made the play. I think it was on Godwin at the sideline. Like he got all the way out of his single drop and got to the sideline. That was the best all the way to the edge that I had seen him perform in the last 2 years. So kudos to him. But I will tell you, Josh, it's a little misleading just because none of these receivers for Tampa Bay are burners. They're all big physical pass catchers. This isn't a way to stress the linebackers in terms of speed. But it is in physicality, isn't it, Dan?
Oh, it is. And I think that they had some rough patches early. In my opinion, they were getting a little bit too deep. And that's part of the problem when you have these guys mugged up is they have to get all the way back. And sometimes you're going to see them get back too deep. And even when they're close and they have to get back. And you saw Bolton have to get back forward and he slipped and fell down and things like that. So I didn't like how deep they were getting in their drops. And whether that's scheme or whether that's just trying to get back and over tracing, I do think that the coverage in the middle of the field was not what we're used to seeing. Obviously, Tom getting the ball out so quickly impacted the pass rush too. So it was they attacked what the Chiefs don't do well, which is what Tom Brady is going to do. So kudos to him.
Yeah, I think it worked out pretty well. Bill, thanks for this. If you guys would hit the like, we would appreciate it. But more importantly, if you want to know how this game works and how we see it and what happens on those plays that you're like, hey, how did that come down? We will tell you. We are not here. We are here to show you what happens on the game. This is why we studied the game all the way around. And for those of you that doubt me, just ask Bailey Zappi. I was alone on an island for that one, and look how he played today. I'm pretty happy with it. It's not perfect, but it's pretty dang good for a kid who came off the bench. So anyway, we're going to get into that, but more so, the big takeaways. Obviously, the defense rose. I think L'Jarius Sneed has raised his level of play to the point where he is the second best player on this defense behind Chris Johnson. I don't think it's very close, to tell you the truth.
It's not. It's not. He's everywhere. The way that he absolutely sold that blitz off as nothing. He was over there messing around. It was like Patrick Mahomes selling the sneak. He was just messing around, and then he's gone. Guess what? Tom Brady can't see him because he's sliding underneath the offensive line. He has perfected his art of blitzing off the edge to a point where it's hard for quarterbacks to see him. You pair that with he's just everywhere. He is literally everywhere. He's like Ted Lasso. He's here. He's there. Everywhere. I just love what he's done. His game is really taking a step forward, and he could become like an all-pro type of cornerback in the NFL.
Yeah, I agree. He's on his way. I think he's Pro Bowl level now. He continues to play out like this. He'll give up plays in the pass game, but he's not giving up a ton of yak, and he's making up for it 10 times in what he's doing. Led the team in tackles again tonight, folks. So that's a shout-out you don't always get from a DB, but this whole secondary is starting to come together. They're starting to gel. Juan's hitting like a ton of bricks. He was late on one. The first touchdown to Evans, I think it was a touch late. Not the perfect play, but he's getting there. Juan talked a good game. I like that he did because he's trying to live up to it. And I feel like that's the positive that we have to take away from that. We're going to get there. Donnie on the couch first. They're not allowed to run on us, period. Yes, absolutely. I have the stats right here. They finished on an average of 0.5 for the evening. 0.5 yards. They had 6 carries for 3 yards total. It was ridiculous. And I think that is just another step in the physicality of what the Chiefs were like, okay, look, we sucked last week. We were terrible. And they turned it around and said, we're not going to be that team anymore. So, hey, I will give them kudos. I think it's only a first step, though, Dan. I want more. Do you?
Yeah. I think they need to have more because that defense, teams aren't going to just stop running on them all the time because that is their worst attribute. I think it's improved this year, but you're going to have to keep this level of intensity up. It's hard to do week in and week out, obviously, but you have to come in each week with the idea that you're going to embarrass the other team. That's how you win Super Bowls. That's how you make games that shouldn't be competitive, not competitive. And you don't lose to the Colts last week. When you show up to play, this is the team that we saw this year coming in. When you play like this, and when you have this mentality, this physical mentality that they should be able to impose, they're going to be so tough to beat. And when you string that along, You can make yourself, your whole team believe in what you're building, and that's how you win Super Bowls.
Yeah. That's how you win multiples. That's why you're always in striking distance. That's how you build a franchise that is always there. That's how you build a dynasty. Maybe we jumped a little early on the dynasty word back there during the Super Bowls.
A little bit.
But it was still foundational of one. My big takeaways and questions, the 1-2 punch we talked about. We talked about Snead, the coming out party that never happened, Shaq Barrett and et al. Yeah, whatever, fellas. We did the running game. Okay, so here's the other thing. Mahomes came out hot. And I need to go look at it when next-gen stats come out. His time to throw, they were doing exactly what we've been asking them for weeks. They were hitting it on tempo. They were getting the ball out. That moved the whole offense so that Pat wasn't getting hit. Even though I think the tackle struggled even early, but certainly late. I think that's got to be like a new foundational pillar that they have to do every single week, no matter what.
Yeah, they have to. And I think that Pat even talked about it early in his post-game little there, right? That he talked about getting the ball out quickly. And then we saw adjustments. We saw adaptations. We saw when they started to blitz. Hey, look, we got Travis Kelce out there on a bunch. Just get it to him. We got Juju Smith-Schuster. We're going to throw a little bit of an offensive lineman out there and get you on a easy path to a first down. They found the spy. Initially, Mahomes got out and they stopped him. Like, okay, they adjusted. They saw this by the second time. Guess what? They come down with another little quick pass to get open. They adjusted the game plan. They executed it. And then when they saw the defense making adjustments, they did the same thing. These are things that we didn't see last week. There was no adjustment process. There was nothing in that. You see what happens when it just feels like Andy is like, sometimes he even needs a kick in the butt. Like he needs to get his own mind going. And I know that everyone, again, play calling is Andy Reid. That's what it is. Andy Reid's the one calling the plays, okay? He's the one making the adaptations to everything. So seeing him adapt, he needs to keep that level of anticipation up. And it has, and just as quick as it was, because it was like, oh, we saw it, and then we adapted to it. He has to continue to do that against one of the better defenses and defensive coaches in the NFL. If he can keep that up, that's the trajectory that we're talking about, is getting the ball out, spreading it around, and being impactful and being it hard for any defense to really stop them.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you too, I think the broadcast did a good job of showing exactly how that goes. And funny tactics, you're right. It's only classically right that Brady has a no line that can't keep up anymore, and Shaq and Dev can't get there. But yeah, thank you for the support.
Appreciate you, man.
The other thing that I thought that the broadcast did a pretty good job of, and that's this. It's not when Patrick comes off the field. Yes, it's a triumvirate of Patrick, Reed, EB putting it all in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Matt Nagy's not on the headset, but when Pat comes off, they showed him multiple times. That's who he's sitting with. He's talking about the flexibility. He's talking about where can we go? What can we do? What can we change? And I think that is the hidden thing so far, that all these like circus throws, even though there are some things that still need to be cleaned up. Patrick's not perfect. For all of you who think he is, I will show you this week. I think Nagy's just getting to the point where he's back in the rhythm with Patrick. Like, I don't think they've been doing this yet. I think they're just like, oh yeah, this is how it works. What else can we come up with? I think there's bigger things ahead, particularly from those two.
Yeah, they're going to have to work on some of the blocking into receivers at times. I think that Mahomes is still like, I like this. You don't always have to like everything you see the first time. It's not that first love at first sight, Pat. It's not always going to be love at first sight. But I do think that he's learning, and again, that first half, and then getting back into that groove in the second half after they started to go for the jugular a little bit. I think that that's growth, and that's what they have to do. I think he and Matt Nagy, like you said, are getting that relationship back, and it's important to just have someone you're comfortable with. And even if everything that everyone has said about EB and Mahomes is right, and there's some kind of disconnect there, regardless of what it is, having someone you can go back to and sit with that isn't the head coach and you can talk to helps him out. So having Matt Nagy there, I think, is only going to make them better going forward.
Yeah, there's no bad thing that comes from it. Good question from Jonathan tonight, and you need to answer this one because my memory's probably too long for this. When was the last time you saw the trenches play that well?
All right, so it was last year. I do think that they had a moment last year where they played that well. There were a couple games that they did play well in the run game, but it felt different because it wasn't just the zone. This was power, and you could feel them establishing. I think probably going back to the Buffalo game 2 years ago, where they ran all over them,
Yeah.
where they just said, it's rainy, you can't stop us. It won't matter. That's kind of what this felt like, because this was a defense way better than that Buffalo defense, and they did whatever they wanted to, running the football. Just Andy Reid. Thank you. Appreciate it so much.
I'm vindicated. And folks, I think the Brad Simcox Brit Chief burner here is in the chat. Up? So what's up there? I hope that's him. If not, somebody stole his idea. Patrick played the way he did tonight because someone told him Skip Bayless's tears cure cancer. So touching. What a great guy. That's my QB. Well, I like that one. Yeah, I might have to frame that one. That's Andrew, good. This is a step towards Kelce playing less, 3 tight end TDs. I think that's hopeful in my mind. I don't know that that's what they were doing, though.
I don't think it was. I think it was more Kelce kind of may have gotten a little nicked up early. Like, I don't know what it was. It looked like he kind of hurt his groin a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something like that. So maybe they were just like, hey, if you want out, I think we can work that. But when it came down to it, Pat was like, hey, Travis, I got you. And Kelce was like, hey, I got you. Like, they figured it out. Their connection is incredibly special, man.
Oh, yeah, it really is impressive. Folks, there are some other folks in the chat tonight. Kudos to the Morrows. They're out, not in here tonight, but they are doing some good work. Make sure you keep them in your thoughts. Big Chief Sean's in here. Make sure you go to his channel, and you should have seen him on Friday for the pregame show. We have a lot of extras in here. I think Stevie's in the house tonight. We're going to get through these. There's a lot of super chats. So if you asked a regular question with the question marks, thank you very much. I appreciate you. I'll try to answer them tomorrow night. But there's a ton of super chats I need to get to because I feel like I owe those folks. I get very frustrated when I don't get to them all. So please bear with me. Tactics, the $2. Thank you very much. The Juan and Jordy. Yeah, you get $1 for each. Yeah, those were terrible. Nice. That's what we were talking about before. Like, out of 10, what would you give tonight as a team?
As a team, I'm still gonna say this was closer to an 8. I don't think it was a 10 performance. I don't think it was a 9. I think there are some things to clean up. I think there are some defensive things that I'm still a little worried about, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd give it a 7. I think it's over exaggerated a little bit in my mind because I don't think everybody's building in the fact that the Bucs have deteriorated. So, like, it's not what they were 2 seasons ago. So I don't think it's quite the win that we had hoped it for. Cody, thank you for yours. Power run scheme, O-line engaged, empowers them. Absolutely. And from a snap-to-snap standpoint, for all of you who ever played offensive line, especially for those of you guys, and I know there's some of you out that are on college teams now or high school teams and you're playing now, like, that physicality opens you up. That gives you a little bit of rush and a little bit of feel. That changes how well you do in the pass game as well. And I think that's why it's so key all the time.
Right there with you. Vita Vea, guys. Vita Vea is a difficult man to move. Guess what? The Chiefs are moving the ball with him in that defense. So I feel pretty good about what they're doing.
I mean, the interior 3 tonight were just...
They were so good.
There's one, I think it was down on the goal line. It might have been the one where they ran in. But Trey, like, showed what he showed on film. Got his feet planted, and we all know he doesn't have the greatest feet, but what he did was that he had this complete arch. Yeah, totally rocked back, but he had the core strength to bring that back down, reestablish his base, drive into that end zone, and that was like that was the worst of the 3 blocks on the interior. Yeah. He still got it done. So that tells you exactly what he's bringing, and I love that. So I just want to shout him out because I know folks were a little down on him last week. So it is what it is. Somebody asked, and I'll see if I can do this. If I back up, folks, this is the Rogue Nation sweatshirt. You get the logo, you get the flag, the whole 9 yards. The back's pretty cool too. If you're looking for that, you can find it in the description in the RGR store. It's probably my favorite. I don't wear a whole lot of our own gear, but this is the one that I wear the most. So cheers. If you dig it, go grab that. It always helps us out as well. Miss Holly, thank you for your support. We appreciate you. It's nice to see you back. Great game on both offensive and defensive sides, especially from against Tom Brady. What do you think still needs to be improved on both sides of the ball?
Well, it's a loaded question because this is what I came into the season worried about with the Chiefs. I was confident about the back seven. I was like, there's youth, but I think there's talent. Outside of Chris Jones, there was not much, if at all, winning going on. And by the way, Chris Jones was owning whoever he was up front. It didn't matter. But Tom Brady gets the ball out like this, so it looks like there's no pressure.
But it was Gadecki most of the time, I think.
It was Gadecki. And I think that he did a pretty good job for being a rookie. I'll give him that. But Chris was all over there. The pass rush is a problem. It's still a problem against the Bucs offensive line. It's hurt. There's like nobody there. I mean, I know Donovan Smith came back, but he was hurt. We saw, Tristan Wirfs kind of get dinged up early in the game. But the pass rush is just, it's not there. So they unfortunately, need Spags to continue what he's been doing and getting in his bag and being more exotic with his looks and blitzes. But what about the offensive side of the ball, Ryan?
For me, it comes back to the quarterback, and we'll talk about this in depth, you guys. They still get greedy at times. They did a great job in the first half, but as they came out for the second half, both of the first two drives, I have the same note. Not hitting the unders that are open, looking for the big play, looking for the dagger in the heart. And normally I would say I like that, but it's Tom Brady. You can't close him out. He's literally, what is that one? There's that one vampire show that my kids watch now, Chronicles or Diaries or something like that, where they stab you in the heart and he still won't die, the vampire. He just won't go away. And so for me, I just want to take the easy. I want it to be efficient. I want to keep moving the ball. It takes time and it puts points up instead of risking what you saw there, where it was 3 plays in a row. He was looking downfield when he had easy dump offs, and not even dump offs. That last one that we talked about before, that was a crosser for the first down to Sky that would get Sky going, but then resets the downs. It just keeps you in control. And I think when you're up by that many points, 17 or more, control is what it's about. Don't give your opponent a chance, especially if it's Tom Brady.
Yeah, it is what it is, and it's unfortunate he threw that pick. I think he would love to have that back. I know someone's been asking about what happened on it. It's pretty simple. Mahomes didn't move anybody on the backside of the formation because they don't have to. They can just say, "Hey, look at all these receivers coming my way. Well, I'm not going to move. I'm going to stand here in my coverage." So he just got a little greedy, and it happens.
Good question, Russ. And Holly, thank you very much
so much, Holly,
for the support as always. Why are the Bucs able to put up points after struggling the first 3 games? Well, they got Mike Evans back for one. They got Chris Godwin back for another. They got Julio Jones back. Not that he did a whole lot, but they got to the point where they were full strength. And quite frankly, they do things to Spags. It's not the players. It's the way that they're coached in order to play. And when you have physical bodies like that, they're going to give up those yards. And that's okay. If you give up yards, you're fine. It's when you give up points, when you give up huge plays, chunks that let them score fast. That's when that turns really bad, really fast.
Yeah, it's just Tom Brady also, he knows how to get this defense, the scheme, this defensive scheme. He knows where the holes are. He knows how to attack the corners because they're pretty much taught, especially one-on-one, kind of look for the catch point. So you want to know what Tom Brady does? He locates it outside of their range so Mike Evans can just grab it and score a touchdown on a guy who's in really good position in Jalen Watson. So, yeah, it's just kind of it's a bad matchup.
Yeah, and that happens all over the league. There are just some teams that have, like the Bengals last season, they just had the Chiefs' number for what they were doing. They saw it all clearly. They understood how to attack them, and they did. Thank you, FLDB. Folks, give him a hand. He's our newest administrator on the Discord, and that's, I think, helping us all out because I just have been lax and not been doing enough on it because I'm terrible. I'm a crappy person, and I just like to sit here and talk to the camera all the time. So apologies. But no, there's a lot going on in the Discord. To get in there, just join the memberships. It's the easiest way. FLDB has set up a few things that are going to help that, and we'll have more announcements coming on that later. Stevie's done a great job getting it started. We're going to try to take it to the next level with somebody who has experience doing this. Thank you. That's awesome. that's going to change things. And to tie into that, Gooch is back and he is still going rogue. He's a busy man hopping around the country all the time in his personal life. So give him a hand. Welcome him back. Good to see you, Gooch. Alex, what happened? We kind of discussed that, just, the way that it went down. Needed to do a little bit more. They went back to their 3-by-1 thing.
Yep.
A lot of deep routes, not a lot of options underneath. Got to be able to attack them that way. What did you think about the 3rd-and-1 handoff to McKinnon? I was yelling, give it to Burton. I'm always yelling, give it to Burton when he's in. But it doesn't have to be that all the time. The fact that they used him, and they used him in a smart way, it wasn't just dive, although he runs a pretty good dive. I got to tell you, behind those interior 3, I might be able to get a yard or 2, as old as I am. But I agree with you, Zach. And that's just another wrinkle. And everybody likes to give me crap about the fullback, right? Well, the fullback's versatile, just like Noah Gray was. Like, the more versatile you can be, the more wrinkles you can throw at good teams. It doesn't really matter against poor teams, but the good ones, you got to have something unique to throw with them. And I think that's going to be important down the line. What do you think of this one?
What up, B. Megs? Appreciate you. Casey doesn't lose if they run this efficiently. I don't think you're wrong about that. It's really going to come down to the defense. If they can keep this run game going, the offense is going to be borderline unstoppable. That's what we've talked about, because especially with an offense that wants to throw the ball everywhere, they want to get it to as many people. How do you help all of them? You force the defense to have to respect your run game. Otherwise, they can just sit back and do whatever they want to. You have to be you have to run the ball this way, at least this effective, and give defenses, say, especially for that play action or that RPO, like they might actually hand this off and gash us with it. And that gives you that half second to pull it and then still hit that chunk RPO behind them, like they did to Sky Moore, they're coming out of the half. Like those are the kinds of things they want to do. The way they do it, run the ball a little bit more effectively, and it opens up literally the entire offense.
Yeah, it changes everything. Thank you, Megs. And Stevie, you have a good point. I shouldn't have put it that way. Aaron and Gooch and Stevie started the Discord as a way to bring Rogue Nation, that's what this represents, as part of a smaller group of Chiefs Kingdom, together on something that everybody could talk. That's the nice thing about Discord. If you guys are on other Discords, it's easy. You can do a number of things, and it's good to have a small community. We're going to try to grow the community, I think. And I think when you have experience with that software and that platform, that goes a long way, and none of us did. So that's why we're trying to go a little bit, and FLDB volunteered to help us out with that, and I really appreciate it. Yeah, I think Stevie and Gooch and Aaron and I had taken it to where it could go unless we all spent a ton of time, and it's the one commodity we don't have. So we've got a lot coming for you, though. We're going to have some shorts. We're going to have some vertical video on platforms we haven't been on before. So look for that. We're going to do the shorts here on YouTube. So make sure you get subbed right now so you'll get those in your feeds. Make sure you click the like for this one. We would very much appreciate it. We have more to discuss, though. I'm not wrapping up. I just want to tease you a little bit because I had to shout Stevie out for clarifying, and I appreciate that. We got Alex's, we got Meg's, we got Zach's. Okay, Ron. Bart Scott looking foolish again. I don't even listen to him anymore. I don't read him. I don't hear it. Like, what did I miss? Did he say anything even close to reality?
I don't know. I didn't see it because I don't listen to him anymore. The dude is trying to do what everybody else has done in this industry. Be a hot take artist and get clicks. That's what this is about. That's what these people do. They don't actually know what they're saying. Even if they did know football at one point, they no longer do. And it's just no point in listening to it.
Yeah, it's not worth it. Hey, and Megs, I hope you like it because, I'm just, if I could shorten someone's name, that's what they're going to hear from me. I guarantee it because I'm lazy. Space of Doom. I like that. Space Oof Doom. I like that. It sounds very German. It does. Space of Doom. Isaiah Pacheco, running for everyone. Love him long time. Yes. Yeah. I mean, this is what you hope from Pacheco, right? Because now Clyde gets hurt, he goes in. Clyde needs rest, he goes in. The opposite happens. Maybe Pacheco's running better. Now they have a second option where, hey, if Clyde's just not feeling it that day, you can let Pacheco take the lead. And maybe it flips and it's 2/3, 1/3 the other way. Mm-hmm. I think that's great. And that's really what a committee is designed to be. It's just a lot of committees don't get that secondary production. So this proofs them against injury. It proofs them against having to rely on McKinnon, who we all know at his age is a little more injury proof. This allows him to stay longer into the season, hopefully without getting injured. It's just better all the way around to have three guys that can stand in and do what they need to do.
Yeah, and it really pushes both of them. I think Clyde and Isaiah both ran harder because they were running hard. Like he was like, okay, I see. Like they were feeding off of each other. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, and it seems like there's a good enough relationship there that will continue where you can like push your pal, get better. Everybody wins in that scenario. Terry, thank you. I just want to have an Irish accent now with Terry's name, but appreciate the support. Thank you very much. Donnie, Sky more, please. Yes, absolutely. And that's the best way to put it. I think they're peppering him in as he learns the playbook. I think they had a package for him. They'll expand that as time goes over. I don't think it was going to be. I know everybody took Eric Bieniemy's comments this last week like, oh, we're going to force feed Sky. I don't think it's going to be that. But he's presenting himself to the quarterback as a legitimate target that's open.
Yes.
Feed the kid when he's open. It's not that hard. It doesn't have to be like 7 design plays, does it?
He's very good, guys. He's getting open. Like it's being noticed. Let's put it that way.
Everybody likes open receivers. It's a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it works. Zach, thank you for the support. And thank you, Shaq, guys that actually run the ball consistently. Love to see it and love to see Sky get involved. Yeah. And like I said, I think it'll be gradual, but I think they will get him more and more involved as it goes on. Let's see. Got a couple more questions. We'll come back to the super chats in a minute. Dan, where are your notes that we haven't touched on? I think the questions kind of guided us through a bit, but any concerns or anything else we haven't discussed that you want to bring up?
I don't necessarily think so. I think that right now, I think we covered most of what I had in my notes. When we get through the game again, we'll probably come up with some more and things like that. But again, the run blocking in this game, it wasn't, they weren't getting pushed backward.
Yeah.
And we've seen that happen time and time again when they just get pushed back, and like Clyde's not able to do everything that he does well when he's forced to have to get added yards attached to his runs. He can't really do that. When the holes are there, he can get more than what's asked of him. And I think that's been really important for their run game. And at the end of the day, I mean, we're just going to say one thing. This offense is unstoppable when they have a run game. We just kind of talked about a little bit earlier. Like, that's what I came away from. The big takeaway for me this whole game. This offense will be unstoppable in terms of scoring 30-plus points with a run game. That will unlock everything, and it's going to make everyone's life easier. I still can't believe Mahomes did 300 yards in this game. It felt like he did, didn't it? It felt like he threw for 300 yards, but he didn't. That's the important part.
Well, and I'll say this, and this is a takeaway that I don't think many people are going to put it out because I'm built the way I'm built. The thing that really occurred to me, Patrick had his special plays, right? The special play for me was that scramble where he knew exactly where the first down marker was and he dove for it because he knew how important just moving the chains was. And that's what I want them to stick with. I want that to stay fresh in the front of his mind because that version of Pat Mahomes is omniscient across the field. It's not just the passing game. It's about the whole team that way. That's what I want to see from him. That's just a small inkling. They do that. And they're not only an AFC championship contender, they're a Super Bowl champion.
Yeah.
That's what they have to have from him. It's maturation in a forced way. That's to make you not do what you want to do, but that's how you get the wins.
Yeah.
It's all that comes down to it. We got a couple more super chats, you guys. We're going to get to those right now. Thank you very much for your support of this channel. And
Appreciate
for all of our contributors. We're always growing the family around here. We try to give you as many ideas and thoughts as we can. It's kind of a 360 look at the Kansas City Chiefs. If you want a 360 look at the NFL, join us at NFL33.com.
Nice.
Our subs are growing over there. And I just put out my first look. For those of you who know the Matrix, I'm stepping it up. I'm putting out some of the formulas I've never put in public before out for the season for the college guys at the prospects now. You don't have to wait for the guide. I'll give you some freebies.
There you go.
It's a process. And I got to say, getting ahead of it is hopefully going to work out and save us some time later. We'll see what happens. So. But we've got some cool things coming that way too. So check out NFL 33. Creed gets my game ball. I like that you went there, Roses, because
love it.
I was going to go there in a minute too. I think that he and Tooney had a great game together. I completely agree. And I will say that I felt until tonight that maybe there's a little bit better chemistry with Creed and Trey than it was Trey and Joe.
Yeah.
I think it's a trio at this point. I think it's Rush on steroids.
I hope so. But I think that Tooney has played even better this year than he did last year. And he and Creed have that right now. I still think that Trey is up and down at times. But again, that was more because his foundation wasn't as solid as Creed's in terms of his legitimate actual foundation. His legs and his footwork still had some ways to go. So those three are going to be a problem for the NFL as long as they keep doing what's doing right now with this game. Go back to this. Put it in their hands. Just say, hey, guys, here you go. Take it. And we'll go with you because this team can win games behind those three guys.
Can you take me higher? I can't hear Creed's name without thinking of that.
You can't.
Because if you take the run game higher, everybody wins. Everybody wins. That's okay. I'm not going to start singing. It's a long day, folks. As you can see, the band does not play that song, so don't worry about it. You won't hear the whole thing, I promise you. Rev, thank you very much. Appreciate your support. Shaq got his butt whooped several times for Orlando. Iron Mike said, everyone has a plan until you punch him in the mouth, and that's absolutely true. I will say this. Orlando got a couple. He got beat a couple. I think that's still a problem going forward, like Dan mentioned before, when the front four can't get pressure on what is a beat-up offensive line. That is a problem. But I think it is more about shoring up the specific disadvantages and speed around the edges Orlando's. I think that Andy's still been a little reluctant to chip.
Yeah.
Or to even fake the chip. I still want to see tighter alignments with the tight ends and even the big receivers. I don't mind MVS being in there. Even if he fakes a chip, it slows down the attack. And he still lets him be an underneath receiver that can do something. So that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Hoping.
Tom, thank you very much, dude. Great game. Do we have a chance to get to 13 to 14 wins if the three phase of the game improves every week at this point? I had them going 3-1 the first quarter in my preseason prediction. And I still had them getting in 13 wins. I still think it's possible.
Yeah, definitely is. I think they're just going to have to play like this. The Bills game that's coming up is going to be pretty big. You can't really overlook the Raiders, even though,
you want to.
You want to. Again, that would be the Indianapolis situation all over again if you did that. You have to face games as they approach. They're going to have some tough games down the stretch, but 12-13, it's feeling pretty good right now. Feeling pretty good with what's going on in the rest of the AFC West and the rest of the AFC. I think that they're putting themselves in really nice position to have a chance at that number 1 seed.
Correct me if I'm wrong. It's Raiders week, huh?
It is Raiders week.
Woo! That's one more step towards the Bills, who have been struggling the last 2 ball games in putting up points. Chiefs play like they played tonight. They beat the Bills by at least 10. Yeah. That's how important this balance is to this ball team. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Southern Belle. Appreciate you as always. Terry, appreciate you. Are you worried about MVS's hands? I had several people ask me this. I tracked a drop. I have it in red, but I only tracked one that I called a legitimate drop. Couple of big catches, couple of borderlines, and a drop. Classic Green Bay MVS. This is the expectation going forward, folks, in my mind.
The throw, I want to kind of take a second to talk about the throw because the catch was nice. But Mahomes put that in a beautiful place that MVS could just go get above that linebacker that was in the spot just off to the side. And he threw it with such pinpoint accuracy in that first half that it was almost impossible for the Buccaneers to get hands on balls. And when he just did, that's what you're hoping for MVS. He's not going to have at least I don't think he's going to be the guy he was in Green Bay. He's not going to have those deep touchdowns. At least he should have had one last week. But you can utilize his length and his arm length, his size. And they got him on a linebacker to the seam. And it was a great throw. And this is what you're going to see. Again, Ryan was right. This is peak MVS. He drops balls. He makes some nice catches. It's kind of who he is. That's just it's his DNA.
What did he go for? Okay, 5 targets, 3 catches for 63, a 21 average, the highest average per catch on the team. Second, by the way, confirming, yes, is Sky Moore. Just wanted to point that out.
Big shot.
Yeah, hey, there you go. So yeah, there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. Don't get too frustrated with the downs because it does consistently make those plays. So there is a positive side to it coming. Thank you, Terry. Appreciate you bringing it up. And thank you, Miss Holly, again. It was a great win, but does it concern you the Chiefs allowed 31 points on defense? It does. I have to say, but the Brady Evans things reminds me of the Herbert Williams thing. The big, powerful receivers just seem to have a thing. And if you notice, how did they get going? What have I been preaching since the draft? The Chiefs have to defend between the hashes, especially if you're going to play the two high. That means somebody's either got to jump the robber or those two high have to come down and guard the middle. They don't have backs. I mean, without Willie, and even with Willie in, they don't have a true Tampa 2 linebacker. Turn and run straight down the middle and take away those routes. That's the scary point now. I think you're going to see more teams try to do it, but they don't have Godwin and Evans. So it's a toss-up.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It's just going to be about finding those ways to get you guys in better positions and help some of your corners on the outside and some of your linebackers underneath. They got to find ways to do that a little bit better.
Yeah, I agree. But I see where you're coming from, Miss Holly, and I think they'll be able to get it back together. And somebody who just doesn't have their number like this, but good survival tactic. If they do it again, we'll have another discussion and we'll start to get a little more alarmed, Miss Holly. Cheers. Thank you. And thank you, Tom. This team this week had focus and attention to detail and carried out almost perfectly in the game plan, just in time for Raider week. And that, I think, goes back to the last thing. I said it on Locked On Chiefs. If you guys missed that live, I know everybody's going live right after the ball game. So that's why we're doing the Chiefs thing when we have Matt, and we're doing this a little bit later. It comes back to me that it wasn't just the players that improved and executed better. The whole staff pulled their boots on again and got to work. They listened to this show last week because they turned it completely around and everybody was on it. It wasn't just Nagy. It was Andy and EB, and it was Spags and his whole staff as well. The only thing that I would say is it's about sustainability. You have to be able to do this week after week after week. There shouldn't be lulls. There shouldn't be, hey, we can get through this game by being 60% of ourselves. They need to crush everyone when they have the opportunity.
Got to make sure you leave no doubt. Remember, you guys, remember the Titans. Leave no doubt. That's something that this team still struggles with at times. So this game was nice to see them come and basically leave no doubt. I know the pick was uncomfortable, unfortunate. This game was never in doubt. From start to finish, they dominated the Buccaneers. They dominated them. That was what that is a true leave no doubt game. Now you have to find a ways to take parts of that and get it into every game, because I know you're not going to have the same energy level every single game. It's almost impossible for a 17, 18, 19, hopefully 20 game season. It's almost impossible, but you have to find ways to take a little bit here and say, all right, we're going to do this again now. And that's how you start to feed it into your entire game plan. That way it becomes not just we get up this week. It's we prepare this way. That's what they have to do.
Should have been a 24-point spanking from Daddy is what it should.
It should have been. It should have been.
You can always hope. Thank you. Appreciate you, Tom. And Roses, thank you again.
Thank you.
I think OBG realized throughout the game that he needed to force Bear to beat him inside. Probably needs to take the tactic against speed guys. Yeah, but the only way to do that is to jump set. And you saw what happened when he jump sets.
Still got beat.
Yeah, and particularly with guys that length, because even if he jumps, if a guy has length that's even close to his, they can deflect and get under him and they're around, and it's like that. And when he doesn't have his feet on the ground, that's a problem. It's better to kick and pivot than it is to jump, in my opinion, if you're not the athlete that you need to be. Just my take, but I'm not an offensive line coach, never was. I'm glad you bring it up, Legend. I've been kind of holding this for a bit. So today was kind of a my guy's day for me.
It was.
Zappy getting to play. Cook did his thing. Played a lot of the 3 safety dime today. And I think Cook showed you a couple of pieces. Had a really nice rush. But the coup d'etat was that breakup
the
in
PBU.
the end zone. I mean, I know they scored on the next play, and that sucks and makes everybody forget about what a dynamic play that was.
Yeah.
To just be able to play. And that's playing through the whistle. It's not just, okay, it's in his hands. It's over. It's not over. Knock it out of there. He's got to control it. Like, it just shows you like that he's got the desire and he's got the potential. I know he started slow. I know he was a hothead. It's going to be okay. And I like him still. But yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Legend. Dan, am I over pumping that?
I think a little bit, but I mean, have fun. Just have fun with it, man. Let him. Let it happen. I thought it was a great play, and yeah, a little bit, but who cares? Take it.
And Legend did another one with the same question. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Legend.
Appreciate the support. I'm just slow, so don't worry. If you put a super chat in, we'll get to you no matter what. I promise. It's almost been an hour, and I talk a lot. So let's get to Britain's, and I think Britain is the last one on track tonight, and we will have the Q&A tomorrow, like normal. You guys, 6 p.m. Central. as we always do. Craig, over at KCSN, Chiefs only gave up 3 points when they were up by less than 3 scores. Okay. That's good. I don't track that, but I trust Craig, so he's got a good eye, and I have to go check
too.
I
do
have to
too, and
go,
I don't trust that either.
yeah, like let's see, they were up. They gave up the field goal to get to 30. No, that was at 17-17. They were up. Yeah, they were up 21 then to take it to 24. And then they were up 14 when it went to 41. So yeah, back and forth. That's pretty close. Only gave up 3 points when they were up less than 3 scores. So 20 or less. Okay. Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to walk him through that because I'm not tracking it for some reason very well.
I'm looking at it right now. It tracks. He's right.
Okay. All right. Cool. It's just me then. But Britton, thanks for bringing that one, and say hi to Craig for me, or I'll just say it to him myself. That's fine. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, when the defense can perform like that, especially like that, when you keep the margin, because it got down to, I'm trying to look at it here, got down to 11 there in the second.
Yeah.
Stayed there for a while, 14, grew, and then came back down. It wasn't until the end that it got down to 10. Yeah. It was 17 just before that. So at the end of the day, you know, I would put more of this on the offense than I would on the defense. What about you?
Yeah, we know that Spags likes to get kind of loosey-goosey when they're up 3 scores. This is really what we've seen. This is like blueprint. You just bought it and send it back. Like it's the same thing. We see them just play off. They don't really get too crazy with the exotic looks. They don't do much differently to help their corners. They're just like, we don't care. I almost swore there, guys. I'm not gonna lie, because Spags really just feels like he's like, I don't give it. I don't care.
It's gonna be all right.
I got an alien back there backing me up. I don't have to worry about giving up a touchdown here when I'm up 3 scores. I don't have to.
That's awesome. I have seen a couple of questions about special teams. We'll wrap with that. Because the best thing about special teams is there weren't any mistakes. When you don't hear about special teams, they're doing it right. Not everybody has to have a 60-yard winning field goal to prove that they did their job. And so good rebound from them. I thought the returners were solid. They made better decisions. Pacheco still brought it out once when I would have just taken it down. But that's me. That's me. I think that's partially Tobe as well. But Dave, I will say this. If you guys didn't see the presser this last week, Dave Tobe took responsibility for the fake, which was probably the worst timed fake that I've seen this team run in 6 or 8 years. And he took that on himself. So as long as he cleans that up, then they should be gold. And I think Bucker is more likely to be back next week. And I don't know if that means it happens, but it's more likely. Let's hope. And if that happens, I think this second replacement worked out just fine. They're going to be all right. And I feel like that's going to be really the ticket. Special teams is the one place where I will give them a little bit of leeway because, again, you have to we talk about this every time when we go down to the 53. You have to make concessions on your positional chart because of special teams and the reverse. So you end up with guys that don't play teams predominantly, and they're trying to do the best that they can. And Dave generally does an excellent job getting them to do that.
Yeah, they clean it up. And he's shown a propensity to have some issues, but that special teams always kind of finishes in the top 10 of the league anyway. So, like you said, they can get a little bit, get away with a little bit more. Obviously, that game was the extreme, but now I think we're going to see them kind of tuck it all in and be all right.
Yeah. I think it's going to be great. I hope you guys are going to be great tomorrow on Monday. I know it's late. Thank you for being here. It's midnight in Kansas City. There's 700 of you in here. Cheers. I hope you enjoyed Sunday Night Football. We'll have the Q&A regular time tomorrow. Like, sub, hit the bell right now so you become one of us. We are trying to get to 30K this year, 35K, 40K. You never know. Could blow up right now tonight. Thanks to Stevie, Gooch, Big Chief Sean, FLDB, Jason Dunn, everybody that contributes around here. Gary McKenzie, you're going to see him again next week. And if you guys are missing the game plan, we took the game plan and the primer for the stats and we put it all together. We're knocking it out. Don't miss those on Fridays because that sets you up for things like tonight. So very excited. Grab your gear. Have a good night. Enjoy your Monday around the water cooler. We'll talk to you tomorrow.